And just to, there's a difference between getting information and getting information and incorporating it and experiencing it, then that gives you wisdom. So you want to take this knowledge, you want it to transform your life, and that gives you wisdom so that you can continue to live. Hey, Rebel, can you show the kind of transition that I've been through? You can see it in pictures. Uh, do you have that series of pictures?
I do. They're not in order, so we'll try to make sense of this. You talked about the
Yeah,
scuba diving.
yeah. Show the one where I look old, the one with the blue shirt on.
Okay, because you don't look old, Dr. Taylor.
Yeah,
But
well,
okay,
I look
I see a
older.
difference.
Yeah, yeah. I was with my childhood friend. This was 2 years ago. I didn't want to put him in there because I hadn't gotten permission. But that's me, and I didn't like the way that guy looked. So I went to the scuba diving, and then you can show some more. So I did that. That got me over my fear, and then we went to Egypt. So let's see the next one. That 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 is Thanksgiving of last year. I took that course in October, and we saw some guys on the beach, and they had these clothes, and I bought these clothes. He said, "Yeah, put them on. It'll make you feel different." And so this was taken last week. We were no 2 weeks ago. We were in Cancun, me and my wife, and I'm telling you, I'm a new person. You know why? Because I followed that ageless blueprint. I changed my subconscious mind. I stopped thinking that I'm going to get older. I'm going to be in the assisted living. I'm going to live life to the fullest. And I'm not going to be scared to live. Okay, you can take that.
But tell us about these clothes. You stopped at the clothes. Tell us
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
okay. So it was some people on the beach and they were modeling these clothes. And these were young people. These were like 30-year-olds and they look like models. And I was like, man, you guys look, my wife called them and said, oh man, you look great. And they said, "Yeah, we got these clothes. You can buy them." And so my wife and my daughter, she was there. It's like, "Oh, Dad, put these on." So I put them on, and it was like it made it made you feel different. And I want to tell you, life is about feelings. Okay, it's about thoughts, it's about actions, and it's about feelings. And that's what you have to change. You have to change your feelings about yourself. So when I put on those clothes, it changed me. And your feelings will change your body. Okay. When you're happy, you look happy, you walk happy, you have a skip in your step. When you're sad, you walk slowly, your head is down. So how you feel is expressed in your body. And if you feel worthless subconsciously, it's going to show in your body and in your thoughts and in your actions. If you feel like you're broken, like there's something wrong with you, it's going to show up in your body, and not only externally, it'll show up internally. And that's why a lot of people fit into that 75 to 90% of the people who come in with a stress related complaint or disorder, because your feelings, your mind shows up in your body. And I can tell you, let me tell you about one case. I have a patient who has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
That's a
She's,
hard one, folks. If y'all don't know,
yeah,
that one,
yeah,
you'll wind up losing all control of everything, and your mind is fine, but you
yeah,
lose your body.
yeah,
It's being trapped inside yourself, and it's a
yeah,
hard thing to have. I
yeah.
had a
It's
friend
called,
that had it, and he died from it.
yeah, it's not pretty. And it's called Lou Gehrig's disease. That's another name for it. So she's 40. She's somewhere around there. And so the deal is, I always look for the stressor. So I asked what happened a few years before you had this diagnosis, before you started noticing these symptoms. She said, my 2.5-year-old passed away from febrile seizures. So that's when a child has a temperature so high, they go into seizures and then they pass away. So her daughter passed away 7 years ago, and that's about a year or two after that, she started noticing these symptoms and finally got diagnosed as ALS. And I'm going to tell you, it's not uncommon with women that they have a stressor like that, but almost always it shows up as breast cancer. It's always if a woman has some kind of trauma, breast cancer is the most likely way her body is going to express it. And I was wondering, why did she have a neurological issue? So I kind of said, maybe it's because the febrile seizures is neurological and ALS is neurological. Maybe that's how she's staying connected to her daughter. All right. So I brought that up to her. I said, I told her the exact same thing. I said, usually when something like this happens, a patient has breast cancer. I realize that stress can cause illness or disease. And I said, I think it's a way of being connected to your daughter because what set me off is that her husband had a tattoo on his calf. And I said, what is that? He said, that's how I stay connected to my daughter with that image. And I'm like, that's her connect. So I brought that up to her and she started crying. And she said, you're exactly right. And because her daughter died and she was pregnant at that time, she never got to grieve. She had another child, and the next child also suffers from these febrile seizures. So she's constantly stressed. She's constantly stressed about this. And so we actually, because my wife is a psychiatrist, to try and unlock that, we use something to I won't even say it because like I said, I know we use something to help them unlock those inner feelings. And so we found out she was angry. She never got to grieve. And it allowed her to grieve and to get all that anger out. And she came out of the session laughing. And so I just want to show you how your mind can get into your body and create disharmony. And when there's disharmony, that just opens up the floodgates for all kinds of diseases and conditions. So we're going to explore that more and more. And this is cold, rock hard science. The problem is with me, I want to see the proof. And now we have the ability to measure this. And so this is cold, rock hard science. So we're going to try and and connect science and spirituality. And because of my upbringing, this is what I've always wanted is to be able to understand scientifically what my father believed in and what was hypnotized and imprinted into my subconscious. I want to understand it scientifically and measure it and balance it and make sure that I'm in the right balance between spirituality and science. So I know we're running out of time. Is there any other questions? And I hope you put your comments down there because I don't want to I just don't want to spill out a lot of information that you're not interested in. I want to know what you're interested in, and I'll try and help clarify, any questions or as much as possible. So, anything else,
Yes,
Rebel?
we have a
Mhm.
lot of questions that we
Oh
aren't
boy.
gonna be able to get to because we have
Okay.
2 minutes left, but
Okay.
let me see if I can pick out a easier one.
Okay.
Um, Here you go.
Hmm.
Well, it might not be easy, but we'll try. And for everyone that we didn't answer your questions, please tune in again next week so we can
Yeah.
get to your questions. I will give Dr. Taylor all of your questions. But for the last question today, um, are ho- are hormone levels different as you go through the day? You were talking about the saliva tests with this one.
Yeah. That's what I was taught, and saying that's why we don't do blood levels because they change throughout the day. What we do is we collect 4 samples throughout the day and they pool it together, and there's not that much fluctuation. It really isn't. I've been doing saliva testing for 25 years now, and I'm going to tell you, it has been the most accurate clinical information that I've ever had. It doesn't change that much. That's the excuses doctors will say when a patient asks, "Why don't you test my hormones?" They will come up with that excuse because in the back of their mind, they know that that blood test doesn't really show them anything. So that is a fallacy. And believe me, I really want people to understand saliva testing because that's the first step. You have to get in balance. Then we can talk about getting your mind and your spirit in harmony.